and they've catalogued and put up on the wall on shelving, and this is where we pick up our radios to put in the museum, which you will see later. Okay, here we are in the second room of the restoration room area, and as you can see there's Bill working on a radio here, which he's trying to get restored. Also we've got Les, his assistant, and Joe. So there's the three of them that do the restoration work. Just a close-up of the radio that we saw from back there. Bill tells me it's a Strongberg Carlson and it's 1938. Right, we're in the classrooms now, and there's a sign on the wall saying, "Welcome to the classrooms where you get to learn to get your licence." Each Thursday night, starting at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, that's right. Yeah, well, this is where the people sit that are learning about amateur radio to get their licence, and this is where the instructor would get a view of the people that sit at these desks each Thursday night. This is a shot of the ATV transmitter that used it on ATV nights at the club, and a lot of speakers that are usually out in the audio room, and a few TV sets that are waiting for restoration.
Okay, well, this is a transmitter that was donated to the museum by the late Ed Cossack from Torquay Road, and this transmitter transmitted the first signal across Bass Strait. Yeah, I suppose it was.
Well, what we're looking at here is a second part of the restoration room, and this is where all the old radios come in, and they've catalogued and put up on the wall on shelving, and this is where we pick up our radios to put in the museum, which you will see later. Okay, here we are in the second room of the restoration room area, and as you can see there's Bill working on a radio here, which he's trying to get restored. Also we've got Les, his assistant, and Joe. So there's the three of them that do the restoration work. Just a close-up of the radio that we saw from back there. Bill tells me it's a Strongberg Carlson and it's 1938. Right, we're in the classrooms now, and there's a sign on the wall saying, "Welcome to the classrooms where you get to learn to get your licence." Each Thursday night, starting at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, that's right. Yeah, well, this is where the people sit that are learning about amateur radio to get their licence, and this is where the instructor would get a view of the people that sit at these desks each Thursday night. This is a shot of the ATV transmitter that used it on ATV nights at the club, and a lot of speakers that are usually out in the audio room, and a few TV sets that are waiting for restoration.
Okay, well, this is a transmitter that was donated to the museum by the late Ed Cossack, Torquay Road, and this transmitter transmitted the first signal across Bass Strait on 2 metres in 1949, and we're very proud to have that. From there on we go to the valves. We have almost a valve from every stage of radio through the ones from 3GL transmitters and several from normal radios. And here we have a kit set, a very old time kit set that was given to the museum by an ex-member, the late Jack Sinclair. 5-valve Mutadine, Vista. Very old set, about 1928. Rewired and restored by the late Vic Clark, one of our original secretaries. I think that should be enough, George, at this point. Now this here is the beautiful brown speaker that belongs to this Nutadine, and above it we have the oldest set in the museum, 1924, a Radiola 3, and in very good working order. Alongside it is a crystal set built by Arthur Bent and donated by Noel Bonney. And over here is the first AC set to be built with battery valves. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're ready.
Hello.
This is our telephone section. An old-time PC that was donated by Gary Bond, and the old model 168 telephone, and the various phones as they came through the years. And then this switch here was a switch from the old exchange in 1912, installed there, and it's still in working order. The old Strauger side wiping final. Next to it we have the command transmitter and receiver that they used in the aircraft during the war. And in the corner here we have the portable air zone radio, one of the first portables that were ever brought out. Right. Here we have the Army sets, mostly radio, and the AR-7 was the next set that was used by the aircraft in the wartime after the command. And these 122, the Army radio, one of the very best sets they ever used. And go around the corner to the set that the C-42 is a tank radio, and very, very heavy and very robust. And then we follow up with the AR-8, which was the latest aircraft set after the AR-7, and alongside it the handheld walkie-talkie, military walkie-talkie. Right, now here on our right, in this section of the museum, the Model 14 teleprinter. Then we go into the oldest piece we've got in the museum is a Magic Lantern 1866. And you may not believe this, but they had coloured slides in those days, but the coloured slides were all hand painted. They're beautiful. Alongside it, a 35mm projector, still in working order. Over here we have 3-valve Reinhardt's radio in working order. On this section we have quite a lot of beautiful old-time sets. First the STC 5-valve, the Peel, C552A, the Air Zone 1934 cathedral type. Probably one of our best exhibits. And Stromberg Carlson, Air Zone 1938 and Breville 1938. Now can you come down lower here, George?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a 3-valve set here that was built by Jack Matthews, his first effort. And alongside it, a 2-valve set, crystal clear, built by Dickie Johns, an ex-radio man in Geelong. Another 3-valve Reinhardt's here, one that came to us in bits and pieces, and we rebuilt it, restored it, and it's in full going order. Then we have a Chieftain 1950, then an AWA 1948. That particular set was made by AWA and it was completely built by them. They made every part of it. And it was a wonderful set that they turned out. Then the Radiola, the Phillips, and the Astor, and then we go down to some of the equipment that from the old exchange in Geelong, way back in 1912. All this equipment is the meters and tools, keys and sounders that was used in the old exchange from 1912 on. And it's Model 15 teletype, which is in working order. And then we go here to an aerial tuning unit from a Swedish ship. Radiates up to 2 kilowatts. The Centurion sets were put out by Sutton's Radio and Music Shop way back in the 1930s. And then from there on we've got all sorts of bits and pieces that have been handed into the museum by various people. And at the end there we've got a collection of old microphones that have been kindly donated to the museum. Right?
Yeah.
Now this is the top shelf of our showcase with a little beaver crystal set and various pieces of equipment being donated to the museum by many people. Even crystals in a crystal tin, and knife switches, and even a very early calculator by Mr. Joe Costa, and an early hearing aid, 3-valve.
Right, here we see the computer section in operation, and Keith will explain to us now exactly what goes on when we put a program on packet there.
Right, thanks George. We've got our setup here, the power supply and the transmitter and receiver and a modem, or a TNC as we call it, terminal node controller. We switch that on, the transmitter is already going. The computer is the main machine here on this side. Can you see that, George?
Mm-hmm.
That's the main machine here, and it's a 286 computer, just a standard computer basically. That's all you need, but you can of course use a higher level one. Keyboard to operate and a monitor, and we've got it set up so that we hit one key, T, and the packet comes on. The computer now will load up the program which it is doing, and now the program is loaded. It's now sending messages to the TNC to initiate the TNC. The TNC will then get a message of what its call sign is, what it's got to do, and how this program is all set up. Once that is being accomplished, the device is connecting to VK3ATL, that's the local bulletin board, which is done. It's connected to VK3ATL, and that says hello Grace, and there are so many messages. I've got a message for you, and in this case it's a private message. So the private message comes directly, here it's coming now, it's loading up, directly into the transmitter, the TNC, and in the computer, and it goes onto the hard disk. This program is an automatic program. It's set up so that when we switch on and we do this initiation, the computer automatically talks to the bulletin board and says, I'm here, I'm listening, is there any traffic for me? And the answer was yes, there's one message for you, and it's now coming up. It's now being received. That's the number of the message. What's in it I don't know, but we have disconnected from VK3ATL now, and I can go and have a look what the message says. We do that by just pressing a special button, and here is a message about bowling, and it is from Maury, and it's to George. It's for you, George. It says, I did ask June, but I could not remember what you called the venue. So something about that. Can you tell me what it was again? Whatever it is, that's a private message for you. So we'll escape from that. We go back to the various other things, and we look at the main bulletin board again. Here you see what we call headers. Headers are coming in, and I'll show you what they mean. We'll read the list of headers that come in and get onto the hard disk. From the hard disk you can see all these numbers, and each number has got a message. It's called a header. If you're interested in any of these, from worldwide or from the VKNet or whatever, from a local net or a local single ham, you can take the message and read it. For instance, there's messages from VK6s and EB1s and HH and wherever they come from, GM, England, there's American there, and Spain, Canada, and ZR, I don't know where that is from, but I'll just pick one. There's a worldwide one for NASA, and that's got Spaceborne Bulletin. So whatever that is, you simply tag it. Now it comes up with a little star, and then you type one key, you say immediate, and immediately connection to VK3ATL is established again, and once again VK3ATL talks to us when the little red light goes on and the green light. The two machines are talking. Red light means we are transmitting, green light means ATL is transmitting, and the message is now coming in. We've requested it, the message is coming in, and gradually we will get bits and pieces of the message. And of course it's a bit slow because while we've been talking, I've seen a couple of other people talking to the bulletin board, and that slows of course the message transfer down. but eventually we will get that message and we can read where it's been, where it's come from, and what the message is.
Okay, Keith. So I suppose anybody that wants to go on packet, this is packet you're seeing at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Now,
I take it you've got to have a license to do this.
you must have a full license for the particular band the bulletin board operates on. In this case, in Geelong, it works on 2 metres, so you must have a 2 metre license, whatever type of 2 metre license you've got, as long as you're allowed on that particular band, on that particular mode of modulation, and you've got the right equipment. So you can do packet on all other bands, but of course there's not always bulletin boards running. Geelong bulletin board happens to run on 2 metres. Some bulletin boards run on 70 centimetres. So the frequency is not terribly important, as long as you got the licence for the frequency that you want to operate on.
Yeah, okay, Keith. Thanks for your help there anyway. And we'll hope to one day have a few more packet members around when they see this film.
It's growing very fast, George, because as you can see, the messages can sit there. You can play ham radio while you're not in your shack. You don't have to be there. When you come in your shack, you switch the machine on, and if there is a message, you get it. It's like a fax or a letter coming in the mail. It sits in the mailbox until you take it out.
That's right.
And it's very very interesting because you can get information from all over the world. It's like surfing the internet, except it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay, we're in the HF shack here now, where all the long distance communications are, and as you see, you need a big power supply to drive one of these radios. So we'll just go around here a bit further. Keith's just turning it on.
If I can find the right plug. Somebody's disconnected us, I think, George. Unless the power hasn't been switched. Yeah, the power.
Anyway, you've got to have a very heavy power supply. About how many amps would you require, Keith, to run a radio like this? About 20 amps?
30 amps for this rig to drive.
Okay, we'll go across now and we'll have a look at the radio side here. And I think Keith's just tapping out a message on Morse code there. So,
there is a Morse key here.
Yeah. So Keith's sending a Morse message out on the air now, and it'll probably be received by somebody probably over the other side in say America or England or somewhere, and who knows, they could reply to him, and that's long distance communication.
Yeah, I've called CQ and I'm not getting any response, so I'll go on sideband and see what we get there. Now I'll keep the volume fairly low, but there is not much there. But we can change bands with this and go to different bands. This particular rig will run all the low frequency bands from 160 kilohertz to 30 megahertz, and all the bands that are in between and are legal ham bands it can operate on.
Yeah, okay, Keith. And also now, just explain to the people that are watching this film that you do require a licence to operate these radios, is that right? Could you explain that?
To operate this particular transmitter, you must have the licence for the particular band you're operating on. Lots of different bands are allowed to be used by amateurs, and some bands you can use on one particular licence, other bands on another particular licence. Only the full licensed amateur can operate all bands. So before you operate any amateur equipment on any amateur band, you must have the appropriate license, or you can be fined very, very heavily.
Yeah, okay, Keith. Thanks for that information there, and I'm sure the people who are watching this will be only too pleased to see it.
You've got 4 resistors, 2 resistors in series and 2 resistors in parallel. We call them RA, RB, RC and RD. And if the ratio of I to B equals C to D.
Here we are in the store by people that run the store here, which is Ranko, and Ranko has all the bits and pieces there for anybody wishing to build projects. Is that right, Ranko?
Yes, special for...
And they can be all bought here, can they?
Yes, no drama, George,
Yeah.
anytime, eh?
So this is where the club gives all their, or sells their components out to people, and people build up their projects. This is just one of the other services of VK Free A&R. What we're actually doing here is we're just about to start a meeting. The President and the Treasurer and the Secretary are the ones you can see at the moment. And we just rang the bell, so we're going to find out what it's all about at the moment.
Now it worked.
Yep. Well, good evening all. Just a few announcements. I guess we'll start with the worst or most important first. That is, this Saturday we're going to have a working bee, which looks like being one of a long series of working bees. We've got quite a bit of work to do. The first one is on a drainage problem, particularly out here. I've got a few names. So now I'm going to try and start at 1 p.m. And of course the more hands or more hams, whichever way you like to put it, the better. So that's for Saturday, and also if somebody's got a spare piece of Aggie pipe, we may need it. If we dig it up a fire, we need it, and 1 o'clock we'll better go shopping if we haven't got one. Or, right. So we're not exactly sure what's under that stuff until we dig it up. So that's for Saturday. As I said, the more the better, really.
Would Martha tell him that Aggie pipe, that
I'm not too sure.
sort of black stuff with little holes in it?
I don't know. I think they're open anyway.
Yeah, they will be open.
If we find any bones, we'll do it.
Quickly, please.
Now the main thing is, if you're not 100% sure
I
that
don't know.
Martha 10's got it, we'll have to look for another spot, because we'll have to sort of measure it up and then get some.
There's a
Anybody got any of this stuff?
There's a farming supply open on Warner Ponds Road. The end of Warner Ponds Park. They're open Saturdays as well.
Oh,
They don't have some.
Well, they'll have Aggie pipe for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got some inch and a half stuff.
No, we want at least 3 or 4 inch. I'm not sure how big it is.
Yeah, it's about 6 inch, I think, yeah.
Because it's blocked up again. I saw water standing in the pipe this time, so, you know, that fine stuff just blocks everything.
So that's the one for Saturday, and we're going to have to do some work on the side of the building. We've been putting it off for a long time, but hopefully the weather will be on the improve, and we'll be able to get a bit done there. Otherwise, we could end up in problems.
I can add to that. On Tuesday, we had a bit of a look at some of these sheets, and if you push your finger hard against them, you go straight through it. So they're completely rotten now. They have to be replaced very rapidly.
So that's set on what we're going to have to do.
What time Saturday in the morning?
After 1 p.m.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Actually, I can be here by 10 o'clock now.
But you other
I
people...
can come in the morning about from 9 to 12:30.
This is where everybody puts their hands up.
Well, you can come about 9:30. I'll be here about 10 o'clock, somewhere around about that. Anybody else can come in the morning?
Well, they do in the afternoon for sure.
Yeah, because, you know, if you can get started and start digging it out, then that's a help.
Well, that's what we put down for 1 PM because some indicator couldn't get it.
You know, if you get here early and dig the thing out and find out what size you need, you hop across the road here.
People coming in, please bring a shovel and a pick because, you know, we got some equipment here, but it's a bit rough and ready. You're better off with a good shovel. There's the train track. Train track is still only just above the water out there. Only a couple of feet. And that's in the direction of the radio club. What perhaps was the radio club. April 11, 1995, time is 11:48. That's looking in the direction of the radio club and the council yard. And whatever is in there now, we won't have much chance of salvaging much, I think. It'll be pretty well gone. That shows you there how deep it is. And how deep the council buildings are underwater. Some private cars. The rest of the yard. And our club's just a bit further. There it was, the club, and the levee bank was just not underwater, but it's about 2 feet from the roof, so it's pretty wet in there. Astronomical Association. Now that's the radio club.
Geelong.
I'll zoom in on the sign. We call it the
Geelong Aquatic Radio Club.
Aquatic Radio Club, or Maritime Mobile. Now, I'll get a little bit of that debris here, and if I can get up a little bit, see the water here right in front of us, floating and fiddling past.
That's the main gate entrance.
Yeah, the main gate.
Driveway goes
And
straight up
we
there.
now see if we can float in there and close the door. Can you say something?
Yeah, well, we were going to have a barbecue today, but
was fire restrictions earlier on, but I think it's...
I think the fire restrictions have been lifted. I haven't heard about this yet.
Been lifted there, so just bring your own.
Yeah, where's the door? I'll zoom into the door a little bit. Oh yeah, that's our door.
That's the main entrance.
Yeah, I'll zoom back out a bit.
The members of this club are swimmers only. Not swimmers only.
And now I'll do my usual trick. I'll turn the camera around and hope that I point it in the right direction. If somebody is taking photos of us, I think, out of that aeroplane. Right, I'll now slowly come around the front again, and I'll put the date and the time on it, and that'll do us. The bench that's turned over, the 10th of the 11th today, isn't it? Yeah, put the date on, 1714, and I can zoom in there and see a little bit of conduit or something that's
Let's clean the shelves out for you.
a lot of mud.
Yeah.
No, the shelves I cleaned out. I should have waited, shouldn't I? And I'll come around now, get the stove and the table, and the sink has been cleaned for Neil. I wonder how our urn went. I better take that home.
Oh, that shouldn't be bad.
No, that should possibly be going again.
They wouldn't.
Well, there's some hot water in there.
I think the water gone cold there, George.
Oh, there's the colour of the carpet.
Oh yeah, let me have a look at that. Yeah, I can see that. Look at all the chairs, the way they've been turfed around.
All the badges.
Oh yeah. All the stuff sitting on top of the table. The TV. Right, now we'll go back to the shack. Oh, Billy's museum, see if I can see anything in there. Everything's tossed around there.
Bruising.
Yeah. Where's the watermark? Up there.
You see it on the wall there.
Yeah. That's where all the rig was, and the computer. And the little speaker that was on the water. There's the watermark. I can see it on the window. I don't know if it comes out on the video. But there, just on that chart, you see a watermark there.
See the watermark in there, Chris.
Yeah, I can bring it up there. Oh, I said that there'd be probably no trouble coming in on Saturday. I was here last time when it happened. Just take a bit of a shot here and walk up around here. Anything much to see in there, George? Oh yeah, you swing it around there and muddy stuff there. No, I noticed it didn't look very sharp.
Still got your shovel there, Rob?
Yep.
This looks pretty messy.
Yeah.
A lot of cleaning up in there.
Soldering iron is still there.
Yeah, the soldering irons obviously didn't float. No. Yeah, I'll just go and have a look what's in there. A lot of mess here. What did you say was on next week's syllabus, George?
Swimming.
Swimming lessons. Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Geelong